This is Bourbon, Double Blind.
Hey, before we get started, just a reminder that any profits that we make from this podcast will go back to the Bourbon Society for Indiana, which we then roll into events or donate to Indiana-based nonprofits and charities. With that, our sponsor for today's episode is Timberline Sierra Barrel Company. Anything that you want that you can imagine somebody could make out of a wine, whiskey, or bourbon barrel, they probably make. We've been working with them for a little while now. They attended our first group event and they've grown really rapidly, so much so that they're opening a storefront June 1st. And with that, they're going to have an open house at the end of June, and they will have some specials on some of their products during those events and during that storefront opening. When they open, they're going to do $35 off any custom laser piece. So if you want a barrel head to hang on your wall with maybe your favorite whiskey logo on it or your family name or something, $35 off all of those pieces. They do really great work. Rick, the owner, has made stuff for me for some family, and he is extremely good to work with. He's updated me throughout the process. If he had any questions or wasn't sure exactly what I wanted, he contacted me right away, which I can really appreciate that a business owner is able to do that for a customer. Again, check them out. If you want anything that can be made out of a bourbon or whiskey barrel or wine barrel, whether that's shelves, cabinets, little bottle openers, anything that you can make and customize with, again, your favorite whiskey logo, family name, whatever. Check them out, especially as Father's Day is coming up. It's a great gift. That's literally, I bought something from them for my dad for Father's Day and for his birthday, which are around the same time. So check them out. You can find them on Facebook. That's Timberline Sierra Barrel Company, or you can find them online at timberlinesierra.com. That's TimberlineSierra.com. And with that, we'll get back to the bourbon. Hey guys, welcome back to Bourbon Double Blind. My name is Brandon. I'm one of three people that help run the Bourbon Society for Indiana. If you haven't watched a show before or checked anything out here, the idea is that we try to pair people together, whether that's myself and one other person, or best case scenario, I'm just kind of the host in the background and guide things along. And we have two other people that are members of the Bourbon Society of Indiana swap samples and blindly do that. So they have no idea, hopefully, what is at that other person's house, what's in their collection. And they're able to try three samples of bourbon or whiskey blindly without having any influence about the name on the bottle, how much that bottle might cost, so on and so forth. But for the next couple episodes, you're stuck just looking at my face. We've had some trouble scheduling people. We'll get back on track though. We got a few guests coming up this week to record with, so you won't be stuck with just me for too much longer. So today I'm going to do something similar to what I've done actually the past two episodes, where I've had my girlfriend pick out three samples from the rack or bar back here of different bourbons that are open. I even gave her a few that weren't open she could choose from. She knows nothing about bourbon and whiskey besides that there's a lot back here on the bar and that there's some even spilled onto the floor now. So she knows nothing about it. She's picked three samples blindly. And if you watch the last two episodes, she picked based on the prettiest bottles. She told me that that was not her theme today, that she picked based on quote unquote heavy hitters. I have no idea what that means to her. I don't know if she looked at the proof on the bottles and said these are the highest proofs and percent alcohol. I don't know if it was the heaviest looking bottles. I don't know if it was the heaviest corks on the bottles. I have no idea what heavy hitters means to her. But we do have three samples lined up based on that. What we'll do is, I have no idea what they are. There's probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 open bottles behind me. And then again, I gave her three or four opens to choose, or unopened bottles to choose from as well if she wanted to. I didn't look to see if she opened any of those. I just sat down with the samples. So again, we have three samples here. one in a nice bottle, one in what was a peppermint schnapps bottle. We cleaned it out thoroughly before using it for this. And sample 3 in a butterscotch scotch bottle. Again, we cleaned that out really well before doing this for this blind here. So I'm going to take these, I'm going to pour them into, I got a couple regular Glens here, and then I don't know what the shape of these glasses are called. I'm going to call it tulip glass, but I have one of those as well. There's probably, I don't know, an ounce in each of these samples. I'm going to get those going into glasses here. While I'm doing that, I just got back from my school/work trip to DC. And if you're ever in DC, about a 5-minute cab ride right from downtown, there's a place called Jack Rose. Phenomenal food, but an even crazier selection of whiskey or bourbon and whiskey, whatever type of whiskey you might be into. I think they have somewhere around 2,200 bottles on their bar, so it is super overwhelming. But if you're ever in DC and want to try some stuff or get out of your comfort zone, everybody I talked to was super knowledgeable, which I can appreciate if you're at a bourbon bar or whiskey bar. All right, 3 samples. Got them in the glasses here. Again, I don't know what she picked from. She went off of quote unquote heavy hitters. I have no idea what that means to her. She mostly drinks wine, doesn't know anything about anything back here behind me on the whiskey cabinet. So I'm going to try them blindly. I'm going to rank them 1 through 3 on the order that I like them, at least right now. That may change day to day, depending on what you've eaten, so on and so forth. So again, they're all in either Glens or these nice little tulip-shaped glasses. I don't know what they're called. But we'll try them blindly, rank them. I'm also going to take a guess as to the proof on them, so we can see how good or bad my palate is today. Sample number 1 here. Doesn't smell terribly high proof. Give you a look at it in the glass there. And not terribly dark. Usually pretty light based on what I'm seeing here with the light that's above me. Nothing standing out to me, just kind of straight bourbon flavors, caramel, vanilla. Yeah, just your usual bourbon flavors. Nothing crazy here to my nose so far. Not terribly hot, actually pretty sweet on the back end. Not a lot of pepper. I don't get a ton of rye spice off of it. Watch me be completely wrong and this be a rye whiskey behind me, one of a couple that's back there. Yeah, not terribly hot, pretty sweet. Not a super long finish on that either. It's probably gone in 10, 15 seconds. Yeah, easy to sip on. I don't think it's terribly high proof. It's the first drink I've had though today. Yeah, I don't think it's terribly high proof. I'm gonna say that it's a bottled and bond something back here. I'm just gonna call it 100 proof. And nothing really punching me in the face here. Kind of straightforward bourbon, pretty sweet. And light in color, which makes me think it's not terribly old, or if it is really old, it's been proofed down a bunch. Yeah, not going to knock my socks off, but fine to sip on. I'm not upset if somebody gives it to me in a glass for free. I always forget to grab water when I do this. All right, sample 2. This nice tulip glass, if we can see some color there. Looks a touch darker than sample 1. Let's see there. Yeah, definitely a little darker than sample 1. Hopefully they're both on camera. Let's get my nose in there. don't know if anybody else does that to kind of clear their nose out. I always give my sleeve of my shirt a little sniff. Hmm. Yeah, again, nothing jumping out here to me. Either that or maybe my allergies are kicking my butt today. So I'm gotten back to southern Indiana. This one's much thicker in my mouth, or the mouth feel, if you want to add some bourbon words and sound fancy. Um, Much thicker in my mouth. There's a little more spice on the back end of it. I don't know what that spice is yet. Yeah, so far, to me, sample two is a little higher proof. Um, a little more spice on the back end of it. Finishes a little bit longer than sample one. My nose is just wrecked today for some reason. Now that I've had that, I don't know that sample one's 100 proof, but we'll come back through them as I try them all once. Right now, if I said a sample one's 100 proof, that's a little bit higher to me. We're going to say 103. A much thicker mouthfeel on that one, a little more spice on the back end, still pretty sweet throughout. Again, I have no idea what these are. I don't know what heavy hitters means. All right, sample three. We'll look at the color there compared to sample two here. Actually not pretty similar in color. Let's see what if anything jumps out of sample three. Oh, this one's much sweeter. Maybe a little cherry on it. Yeah, this is much sweeter. Feel this may be weird. It smells like thicker to me, like a thick cherry syrup almost. Give a little taste of sample three, and we'll go from there. Yeah, there's definitely a heavy cherry on sample three. Watch me be way off, and this be something that nobody ever associates with cherry. Um, yeah, it's fine. Like just vanilla cherry. Finish isn't anything crazy to me. I'll obviously go back through them before we rank them, but yeah, this is comparable to sample two for me. Kind of enjoyable, fairly easy to sip. A little bit of spice on the back end. Might be some rye spice. I don't think it's not peppery to me, or if it is, it's like very little hints of black pepper. I don't know on the proof on this one. Feels similar to sample two, heat wise. So sample one, I said 100 proof. Sample two, I said 103. I'm going to probably change all these after I go back through them, but I'm going to say sample three is somewhere right in there too and say 105. All right, let's go back through them. I'm going to start with sample three before I rank them. Yes, sample three, I still get a bunch of cherry, vanilla. Um, so far, it feels thicker than sample one from what I remember. All right, back to sample two here. Sample two is pretty good. There's a lot of finish on it, a little bit of heat that builds up, but kind of tapers off, but finish hangs around. Pretty sweet. Again, like thick, syrupy flavor. Kind of coats my whole mouth. All right, back to sample one here. Sample one smells really sweet now that I've gone back through these. And sample one was definitely the lightest in color. Smells by far the sweetest of all three now. Yeah, number one's kind of boring to me. There's not a ton of flavor on it. It's just kind of sweet and muted, like really monotone or one flavor throughout. So bottom of the list right now is definitely sample number one. I said 100 proof. I don't think it's that high though. Initially, I'm gonna go back sample one and say 90, man, 93 proof. Sample one, bottom of the list. Again, not punching me in the mouth, not giving me a ton of flavor. So I'm between samples two and three right now. Oh man, one of the first things we recorded for the Bourbon Society of Indiana was a Facebook Live, and I had different headphones in. And a week or two later, the group event we had, somebody was like, "We could hear you chewing, like or swishing the bourbon around in your mouth." Um, and I had somebody tell me they really liked that because they said, "Oh, it lets us know that you're enjoying the whiskey, you're trying to spend some time with it." And somebody else was like, "I don't want to hear that from you." So if you guys can hear that, maybe it's soothing, or maybe it's really annoying. If you can hear it, let me know. All right, so I'm on sample three again, trying to decide between samples two and three. Yeah, I still got a bunch of like dark cherry, a little bit of spice on the end. Sample three is pretty good. I said 105 proof. Man, I don't think any of these are that high now. I'm gonna go down to 101 on that one. All right, sample two here. It's a little more spice in sample two. I think I really like the cherry of sample three. Again, watch this be something that nobody associates with cherry, but doesn't mean I'm wrong. If you taste cherry in something that somebody else never tastes cherry in, great, that's what you taste. Doesn't make you right or wrong. All right, I definitely prefer sample three. So we're basically just reversing the order. Sample three is at the top of my list. Sample two is number two, and the bottom of the list is sample number one. Okay, my girlfriend picked heavy hitters. I have no idea what that means. I don't know if that's a heavy bottle to her. I don't know if she looked at high proof stuff. I don't think that's the case based on the way these taste. But I don't know what heavy hitters means to her. So I'm gonna reach across here. I'm gonna grab a sticky note that she wrote everything on. We'll see how far off I am on the proof and what the heck these were, because I don't know what they were out of the 30 or 40 bottles that are back here. All right, let's start at the bottom of the list. So sample number one I liked the least. Um, oh wow, this is maybe surprise some people. I used to really enjoy this. Now I just kind of go, it's fine. I've had a lot of other whiskey or bourbon. It's gonna surprise some people because this is super hard to find, and yeah, super hard to find. If you're paying secondary price for it, you're paying $300 or more. So sample number one, which is the bottom of my list, which I said was kind of a boring whiskey just now.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you would like to be a guest on an episode, email us at podcastbdb@gmail.com. You can also find our group on Facebook at the Bourbon Society of Indiana. Until next time, we hope you find something that tickles your taste buds. Cheers!